November 20th, 1943. First light spreads across the sky above Tarawa Atoll, staining the horizon a deep crimson, as if the Pacific itself has been wounded. Mist rises from dense palm groves, drifting over concrete pillboxes and steel gun nests that have turned this tiny coral island into one of the most fortified positions in the Japanese Empire. Deep underground, nearly 50 feet below the surface, Rear Admiral Keiji Shibasaki stands inside his reinforced command bunker. Through a German-engineered periscope, he scans the empty sea beyond the reef. At 50 years old, Shibasaki is no stranger to war. He has spent 2 relentless years transforming Tarawa into what he believes is an unbreakable stronghold. Inside the bunker, the air is thick with humidity and the sharp scent of oil and cement. Around him are nearly 4,800 Japanese defenders, disciplined and resolute, convinced they are about to witness a catastrophic American failure. Shibasaki straightens his immaculate white naval uniform and addresses his officers with calm certainty. The Americans, he declares, could not capture Tarawa with 1,000,000 men in 100 years. His confidence is rooted in experience. He has studied every amphibious landing the United States has ever attempted, from Central America to the early Pacific campaigns. Western assaults, in his view, always followed the same pattern: confusion, poor timing, and fragmented coordination. But as he continues to observe the horizon, something feels wrong. Dark shapes begin to appear at the edge of the sea. Not the scattered transports his intelligence briefings predicted, but ships moving in disciplined formation. Their spacing is exact. Their movement is synchronized. As daylight strengthens, the scale becomes impossible to ignore. It is not dozens of ships, it is hundreds. Reports flood into the bunker from observation posts across the atoll. The enemy fleet stretches beyond visibility. Aircraft carriers far more than expected. Entire task forces operating as a single organism. Faces around Shibasaki pale as numbers are repeated again and again. This formation does not exist in Japanese tactical doctrine. Shibasaki had planned meticulously for American overconfidence. His defensive orders, issued months earlier, instructed his forces to wait until enemy transports clustered near the beaches, then annihilate them with concentrated artillery and machine gun fire. But the Americans do not cluster. Instead, they deploy with mathematical precision. Warships form overlapping fire zones. Support vessels maneuver seamlessly between capital ships. The lagoon becomes a controlled battlefield, one where Japanese positions, not American landing craft, are the primary targets. Then the ground begins to vibrate. At first, it is a distant tremor, a low hum beneath the coral rock. Seconds later, the bunker shakes violently as naval guns open fire. Dust rains from the ceiling. Radios rattle. Through the periscope, Shibasaki watches flashes erupt across the American fleet. But what terrifies him is not the firepower, it is the order. Each ship fires in sequence. A rolling bombardment sweeps across the island with deliberate timing, methodically destroying defensive positions one after another. This is not chaos, this is orchestration. What unfolds over the next 76 hours will redefine warfare in the Pacific, dismantle everything Shibasaki believes about combat. To understand his growing dread, one must understand his past. As a young officer, he studied the British disaster at Gallipoli, where months of sacrifice collapsed into failure because naval power and ground forces could not act as one. He had built his career on the lesson that poor coordination destroys even the strongest armies. Japan, by contrast, had mastered decisive strikes. From Pearl Harbor to Singapore, Japanese victories were achieved through speed, discipline, and tightly planned operations. Warrior spirit and precise preparation had overwhelmed enemies who reacted too slowly. Tarawa was built on those same principles. Every bunker was positioned to overlap fields of fire. Every artillery piece was calibrated for known landing beaches. Concrete walls, 3 feet thick, surrounded command posts designed to survive direct hits from battleship guns. This fortress was engineered to annihilate a disorganized landing force. Yet what Shibasaki now witnesses does not resemble any American operation he has studied. A communications officer breaks the tense silence. Reports arriving from Guadalcanal contradict earlier assessments. During recent offensives, American forces demonstrated coordination beyond anything previously observed. Naval gunfire, air support, and ground movement operated as a single system. Shibasaki had dismissed those reports as exaggerations, excuses offered by defeated commanders. But the evidence is now inescapable. Through the periscope, he watches supply ships weave effortlessly between warships. Aircraft carriers launch fighters in timed waves, their movements suggesting constant radio contact between pilots, ship commanders, and forward observers. This level of integration should be impossible at such scale. American operations stretch across thousands of miles of ocean. Supply lines run back to Pearl Harbor and beyond, to the continental United States. By every calculation Shibasaki has ever made, such coordination should collapse under its own complexity. Yet it does not. An artillery officer reports that American naval guns are adjusting their fire mid-bombardment, guided by aircraft spotting impacts in real time. Shells fall, corrections are issued, and new rounds strike within seconds. This is not pre-planned rigidity. This is adaptation. Japanese doctrine relies on fixed plans and centralized command. What Shibasaki is seeing is something fundamentally different: forces that communicate laterally, adjust instantly, and act independently while remaining synchronized. The implications are devastating. If the Americans can coordinate across oceans, then static defenses lose their value. If naval gunfire, airstrikes, and infantry movement are linked in real time, bunkers become traps rather than protection. Landing craft now approach the reef in organized waves, not scattered assaults. Naval fire lifts precisely as boats advance. Fighter aircraft sweep Japanese positions in patterns that suggest complete battlefield awareness. Then comes the report that chills the bunker. American units are coordinating at the squad level. Individual landing craft are in radio contact with warships and aircraft overhead. Infantrymen can call for fire support while still moving toward the beach. Shibasaki has never encountered such a system in 20 years of service. Everything he built on Tarawa was designed to counter individual bravery and fragmented assaults. It was never meant to face an enemy whose greatest weapon is coordination itself. Outside explosions strike with relentless regularity. Each detonation follows a pattern, every shell part of a larger design. Panic spreads among defenders trained to fight isolated attackers, not a unified machine. For the first time, Shibasaki understands the truth. He is not facing American courage. He is facing American integration. The bombardment suddenly stops. For half a minute, silence grips the atoll. Smoke drifts across the lagoon as landing craft align into flawless assault formations. Then the guns resume. A rolling barrage sweeps forward, sector by sector. As fire lifts from one position, Marines surge toward it immediately. No hesitation, no confusion. Every movement timed to the second. Through the periscope, Shibasaki watches American forces hit the beach as cohesive units, each with defined objectives and constant communication. Radio antennas sway as operators maintain contact with ships, aircraft, and neighboring squads. This is not merely an invasion. It is a demonstration of a new kind of warfare. Over the next 76 hours, Japanese defenses will be shattered, but more importantly, so will the assumptions that shaped an empire's military philosophy. Tarawa will prove that modern war is no longer decided by isolated heroism or static fortresses. It is decided by systems. And on this morning, in November 1943, Rear Admiral Keiji Shibasaki realizes too late that the future has arrived on his shores. Thank you for watching. If you found this story compelling, be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell for more deep dives into pivotal moments in history.